Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. This is Victor. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to analyze a World War II propaganda film by the United States War Department, originally published in 1943, republished in 1947, called Don't Be a Sucker. And it's going to be an anti-Nazi piece of propaganda, which we're going to break down. Okay. And if you're interested in just watching it straight through, link will be in the description to the YouTube link. Victor has not seen this before. I've seen it twice. So I'm really interested in hearing his opinions on whether it's legitimate or whether it's propaganda trash.
Yeah, and if you do reaction videos and it makes you mad when people pause, we're definitely pausing this.
Right.
So, yeah.
Because I got some facts I've researched, and we're going to actually talk about like some reality. We'll say.
Some analysis going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Train with $200. He couldn't see any harm in a friendly game of cards. What if the other men were strangers? And take Joe Collins. He's got a nice wife at home. But he met this girl at the bar, and she looked, after the first couple of drinks.
But doesn't he have a nice wife at home? What's he doing making out with the girl at the bar? This is already terrible.
Right.
So we're equating this to people of really low moral caliber is what we're talking to. Okay. So if you're not that person.
I'm trying to figure out what they're even going for with this.
Yeah.
There's a good old-fashioned word for people like us. We call them suckers. And there are other people who stay up nights figuring out how to take away what they've got.
Spoilers to Nazis.
All kinds of games Mike here, for instance.
I don't know how yet.
He's got everything in him. He's young, he's healthy, got a job. And he's got plenty of food. Big factories to make things a man can use. Big cities to do the business of a big company. And people. Lots of people. Enough to work the farm and build the factories, dig the mines, run the business. All kinds of people. People from different countries with different religions, different colored skins. Free people. They can live together and work together and build America together because they're free. Free to vote, to say what they please. Go to their own churches, to pick their own jobs. Yeah, Mike's got something, all right. He's got America. But there are guys who stay up nights figuring out how to take that away from him.
I happen to know the facts. Now, friends, I'm just an average American. But I'm an American, and some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see people with foreign money. I see Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you. Now I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
This fellow seems to know what he's talking about.
What are we real Americans going to do about it? You'll find it right here in this little pamphlet. The truth about Negroes and foreigners. The truth about the Catholic Church.
Do you believe in that kind of talk?
I don't know, makes pretty good sense to me.
And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons. You know these things.
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fellow's talking about me.
And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
These are your enemies.
This wise man here, do you know what character he's playing?
The one on the left? Or
The right.
I'm guessing someone who was in Germany and heard the same talk.
Right, but I mean, he just like, I'll be your Jewish mentor in this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I love it. Okay.
These are the you and me to fight them. Fight them and destroy them before they destroy us. Thank you.
Before he said Masons, you were ready to agree with him.
Well, yes, but he was talking about... What about those other people?
But in this country, we have no other people. We are American people also.
What about you? You aren't American, are you?
I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin.
What were you doing there?
I was a professor at the university. I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us. Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it. And it isn't going to be you. This is not classroom theory. I saw it happen. I saw it first in Berlin in 1932. 5 young men that I knew were standing in the crowd listening to the Nazi speaker. Eric was a Catholic. Anton, a student of mine, was a Jew. Heinrich owned a small hardware store. Karl was a farmer. And Hans was an unemployed metal worker.
To all Bohemian Germans, I say it is time you inherited the nation which rightfully belongs to you. To you alone belongs the glorious destiny of the greater Germany. The Nazi Party will provide land for the farmer, work for the worker, and profits for the small businessman. Who is getting these things now? The Jew. The Jew who has stolen our nation and our birthright. Who makes all the money and takes all our jobs? The Jew! He must be shunned. He must be ostracized. He must be eliminated. And the Catholic...
I'd just say that the Jew wouldn't be at this meeting.
Okay.
He'd be at the Social Democrat meeting trying to subvert the entire nation into communism.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know, so it's not like, oh, I happen to be here and I'm
Right.
offended now. Now he's going to do Catholics, which is just a complete straw man. Here we go.
We don't want our great nation run by a foreign church. We Germans will know what to do with these people when the time comes.
Okay, so one of the complaints about the Catholic Church in regards to this whole situation is that they were too pro-Nazi.
Okay.
So like in retrospect, you look back and you're like, well, you sided with the bad guys. So this is just complete straw man here with the Catholic Church stuff. You know, nobody cared what religion you were unless you were of the religion that says you could do things to 3-year-olds.
Right.
They and their faith must be destroyed. Then there are the Freemasons. In Germany, we have no place for secret societies.
Look at, he's wearing his Freemason ring. I just noticed this morning on his wedding finger.
Oh, interesting.
So he's married to Freemasonry, right? And if you don't know, Freemasonry is basically like Judaism.
For Goyim.
For a Goyim, yeah. Like you get into the secret society, it's all Jewish principles, and so it's an extension of saying Judaism. It's not like saying, oh, secret societies, like if you want to have a club, have a club.
Yeah.
But you want to subvert the nation, probably not let you.
Right.
There may be only one society, and that is the Nazi Party. There may be no secrecy about that in the new Greater Germany.
One by one, he attacked each minority and he split them off one from the other. These men were all fellow Germans when they came here today. Now they were split into rival groups, suspicious of each other, hating each other. They were being swindled, all of them. But the man who was really being fooled was Hans. He was pure German, according to Nazi standards. To him they promised everything, and he fell for it.
I want to hear your opinion so far on this part where they went back in time to Germany.
Okay. I find it interesting, even when the old guy in the black suit was talking to the first guy, in the America version of this. that there's so much conflating where you were born with what you are. You know, he was born in Hungary.
You're not welcome here if you're born in Hungary.
No,
What?
But what are you?
Right.
That doesn't, and
Right.
even with all this, I'm pure German. Okay, well, they're talking about blood there, but
Right, I see.
It's a very, they just kind of throw it back and forth, and there is no
Consistency.
distinction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, like right before this the part that we're paused on, they said, we're splitting Germans into different groups, and that no, there's Germans who are actual Germans. Just because you live here doesn't make you of German blood, which is the distinction that
Right.
is not being made.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's how Hans became a Superman. They gave him a uniform and they pumped up his ego. He wasn't just a little fellow out of work anymore. He was a member of the master race. Hans and thousands of others like him, all playing a sucker's game. They gambled with other people's liberty, and of course they lost their own.
Look at this picture right here.
Okay.
They played the sucker's game. Oh my gosh, they had complete and total national unity. Are you kidding
Right.
me? 99% of the population had one single will. Wow,
Yeah.
they really got suckered, you know?
Yeah, even earlier on when they're saying that, they took control by splitting everything up because they didn't have, they had power. They just got rid of the fringe stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's
Okay, and we're going to bring that up in a couple seconds here
Oh, okay.
again, but they're going to say something outrageous about that.
A nation of suckers. Hitler needed these people. There was lots of work to be done. There were trade unions to be smashed, because unions were organized and might offer resistance. There were many political parties.
Look at the flag that they're tearing down, because they're making the point now that they're destroying enemy political parties.
okay.
So the Nationalist Party, that's the Nazi party.
Okay.
So they're tearing down the Nazi party flag right now. Okay, that's good. Let's see what's next.
These the Nazis destroyed.
Social Democrat Party, that's the communists.
Okay.
The next party will also be the
They were determined to smash every
communists.
Oh, actual.
Okay, this sounds terrible so far. First they tore down their own flag. Then they tore down communist flags twice. Okay,
Right.
sounds like they're just evil.
Awful, right.
And the next one, ready for this?
organization where people might band together and resist.
What does that mean?
The party headquarters?
Is this they're going to say, they're trying to put it in your mind like, but the Catholic political party? Suppressed. It's the party headquarters.
It's clearly they have an office.
There were Jews to be beaten and killed.
There were Jews to be beaten and killed.
Nice.
So if you go to like one of the worst atrocities of Nazi Germany was Kristallnacht.
Okay.
Like after over like 150 political people had been assassinated by Jews, then they went and broke some windows, put some Star of David paint jobs on your store, and put Judah on there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That was the violence that they did. But they're saying there were Jews to be beaten and killed.
Just a broad daylight. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The Jews were not powerful, but they were a convenient excuse for all.
Definitely.
The Jews were not powerful.
They're never in power. They never control things.
Amazing. Amazing.
The lie hasn't changed ever.
Yeah. Why was one of the 25 points to get rid of the supermarkets? Because the Jews had came in and bought everything on penny on the mark,
Okay.
And they had ran all the mom and pops out of business because they just were at a hyperinflation time. So they brought in the foreign money, did this, ran out all the small businesses. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally like, hey, I'm going to shut down the supermarket so we can reopen small businesses,
The nation's ills. And besides, a Nazi party member could not take over this man's store. Hundreds of Catholics were put in jail because the Catholic Church had strength and could resist the Nazis.
Okay. So if hundreds of Catholics were put in jail, it's for preaching sedition. It's like, we need to give aid to our enemies. Do you know what I mean? Like, say you preach that, you get arrested.
It wasn't because they were Catholic.
It's not because of their religion, because nobody cared whether you were Catholic, Protestant. They're going to even bring up Methodist later, and it's like, nobody cared.
Gotcha.
Rifle powers. They had split the nation into 100 pieces. And then one by one, they had destroyed the pieces.
See, that was to your earlier point.
Yeah.
It's like they said, okay, 1% of the population took 99% of the population, split them into 99 groups, then destroyed all 99 groups,
Right.
and somehow you still have 85 million people united in one will.
Right.
No, it's 99% band together, put the 1% out, you know?
That was not like them. That was...
Yeah. Because if you look at our society today, like the internet blows things up and makes it look like things are terrible.
Yeah.
Things are not terrible.
No.
There's a fraction of a percentage that are just rotten people trying to
Yes.
do rotten things.
And trying to get people riled up and all that.
Yeah, even the people who were rioting the other day in New York City over the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
They're not the 1% of bad people.
Right.
You know, there's a small amount of people who won't crack down on crime, who won't, you know, so they know they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Over these broken pieces, the Nazis rode into power. One party, one nation, one religion. These men had won their struggle for power.
That's like from old
They
movies.
now ruled all of Germany. But still they had trouble with their oldest and most persistent enemy, the truth. They found that truth does not die easily. And so they decided to abolish truth. One great source of truth is literature. So they burned books. 20 million of them.
Oh, wow.
They burned 20 million books because they wanted to destroy truth. Give them the actual numbers. We got a video. I'll put a link in the description.
So, in actuality, the Nazis burned 25,000 books.
Volumes, yeah.
And
Total books.
and it's pornography, it's trans stuff, it's all that kind
Communism,
of...
yeah.
Yeah. The stuff that hurts their society. Then the Allies came in.
After the war.
After the war. They picked out 30,000 titles of, like Nazi stuff that they didn't want, probably pro-family, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I forget how many millions.
Just millions. It's just millions.
The Allies burned.
Yeah, so compared to 25,000 books, millions.
Right.
Because they were in a battle against truth. So if you say, well, truth is all your kids should be non-binary and have sex changes, then they were definitely against the truth.
Right.
If you say like, man, we should raise our kids good and have families,
right.
They were not against the truth.
Right.
The Allies later came in and were against the truth so that they could bring back the terribleness.
Yeah.
Pretty wild though, right?
Amazing.
Many great men in Germany who were spokesmen for truth were jailed or driven from their country. Teachers, writers, scientists. Education was discouraged. In 5 years, college attendance dropped 53%.
I did see that statistic.
Okay.
I looked it up and it said like not including foreign students, which didn't really dip. It was like, I forget the, it was like 177,000 went down to 57,000.
Okay.
But I don't know the reason for that because they also had built these special schools, which weren't colleges. So if you wanted to go to engineering school, like if you were pulled out as a kid who had a proficiency with engineering, you would get taken away if your parents consent, to this castle, but it's not an official college. So I think there was alternative means of education outside of just the standard, colleges.
It was forbidden to listen to a British radio program or read an American newspaper.
Okay, so I looked this up.
Okay.
A lot of stuff was banned. The AP was allowed to still report until 41 when the United States went to war, and then that was banned.
Makes sense.
But just imagine that, say the BBC is the propaganda arm for the England.
Okay.
Do you really want them spewing propaganda to your people?
No.
Because whatever it's going to be in the disinterest of Germans, whereas you're making from the government propaganda in Germany was, hey, you should have families. Yeah. Families are good. You should treat your kids good. You should stay with your wife. Divorce is bad. So they're hitting you with literal propaganda. They're trying to mess with your mind to make you better.
Sure.
And the BBC's like, but gays are good. Divorce is good, especially for Germans. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so why would you want this? And the AP really got on their knees for the Germans so that they could, because they were now getting exclusive. They were getting the only ones bringing photos out and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so then they agreed to the Germans, like, we won't say anything in the Associated Press that will threaten the dignity of the German government or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they were really collaborating. But you got to think, what's the purpose of this? Look at this. Look at this headline. Hitler executes more rebel chiefs.
Revolt, death.
Kaiser's son and Papen prisoner. Okay, so this is just clearly propaganda.
Yeah.
They're showing you like they didn't let this propaganda. Weird.
In Nazi Germany, you had to get your information from Dr. Goebbels. He knew what was best for you. the church was one force in Germany still strong enough to proclaim the truth in public. This Catholic priest was arrested the following day on charges of immorality. The Protestant church also continued to try and fight for truth. The Nazis put this man in a concentration camp.
What? Go ahead.
No, I just feel like they didn't say he wasn't performing the immorality. Like,
Right.
was he into altar boys?
And they said the next day from when? Like,
Right.
who were the names of these people? You're just making this up. Because I've told the story before, but there was a pastor who spoke out against Hitler every week in
Yeah.
Berlin. And they said, should we go arrest him? And he said, no, I'm a political reformer, not a religious reformer. So nobody was arrested for their religion unless you were practicing a religion like Judaism that says you can do things to 3-year-old kids.
Right.
You know? And it's not, what does it say? It's nothing
It
if
is
you
nothing.
do.
Yeah.
It is nothing. Yeah. Nobody cared. Literally nobody cared. But if you said give aid to our enemies or something, you know,
Right.
like probably pretty terrible. Or bring back the LGBTQ stuff, probably. You're probably going to lose your little pulpit there, you know?
Right.
There were others who spoke for truth, and I am proud to say that educators were among them.
And what, may I ask, is an Aryan? I don't know myself. But let us see what our present so-called authorities have to say about him. They say he is tall, slender,
Fat shaming.
Yep.
blue-eyed, and blonde.
Okay, I got to tell you, this is hilarious. Because this is like saying, say you said like South Koreans are on average pretty short.
Yeah.
And you said, nope, I see a tall one over here.
Yeah.
They typically have black hair. I see one of the brown hair over here. I don't know if there are brown hair Koreans. But it's like the previous guy had blue eyes, but this guy didn't. So that's your
Right.
thing. This guy's slender, you know?
Right.
But the other guy's not. So it's like, and whoever said an Aryan is slender?
That's the
Like imagine saying there's this race, right, of people
Right.
on the planet, and they're all slender.
right.
If you eat enough, it's this thing called like facts.
Yeah, that's
You
called
eat enough.
diet.
Right.
That's not.
You eat enough. Oh my goodness. It's just all straw man.
Yeah.
You know? It gets better.
There is no Aryan race. And more important, there is no master race. There are people who may find these ideas convenient, but science cannot support them.
This guy's supposed to be in Germany doing this? I find that there's zero chance that happened.
It's propaganda.
But I'm just saying, like, he wouldn't be an educator, like in real life, if someone was doing this back then.
I agree.
Okay.
But listen to this point here.
Okay.
There is no scientific proof that there's any correlation between a man's racial characteristics and his native ability or character. In all...
Okay, so that's just false.
Okay.
Like, remember, this guy's standing up for the truth.
Right.
So it's false. We've talked about this before. They had studies back then that they knew. We've now gone back and, you know, like it's like 90s and 2000s, and we're like, let's do some advanced science. What did the Nazis do? Oh, twin studies. Let's go do those. And we did those in the 90s and 2000s. So now we're 60, 70, 80 years later to find out that over 50% of your personality comes from your genetics, including moral things like your predisposition towards lying, towards divorce, towards religion, you know? So this guy's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Pretty wild.
racial groups, we find the same range of potentialities. We find idiots and geniuses.
He's never seen a bell curve.
Never. Right.
It's like you just take something simple like compare Far East Asians in mathematical ability.
Right.
Or predisposition towards mathematical ability compared to Hispanics. And I'm not talking bad about Hispanics because Hispanics also score higher on some things.
Sure.
Not the same range of abilities.
Right.
There's diversity in what I'm saying.
Right.
There's not in what he's saying.
Right.
You know? And that's why Far East Asians are unique and amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? One of the reasons.
We find criminals and philanthropists. We must judge each man as an individual and not by the color of his skin or his eyes. or by the length of his nose.
The Nazi that's coming from is obviously overweight.
Okay.
Intentionally. I think they intentionally did this.
Yeah, of course.
Come in, gentlemen. It's comfortable. And remember that there is no master race. That is a scientific truth. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying.
Oh, nice.
Well-deserved slap. And also the Germans never talked about master race. That wasn't in their shtick.
Okay, yeah,
We'll say, if I
never
could use the
come
Yiddish
across
word.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
So for all practical purposes, truth had been abolished in Germany. A lot of my German friends wondered what had hit them. How did it happen?
How did we get the best economy in the world? How was everybody so successful and wealthy?
And happy.
Yeah, and happy. The happiest people in the world, according to
Right.
Lloyd George. Put the link in the description. But
Right.
Where did it start? It started right here. And this was where it could have been stopped. If those people had stood together, if they had protected each other, they could have resisted the Nazi threat. Together they would have been strong. But once they allowed themselves to be split apart, they were helpless.
together they could have been strong. But once they got rid of the pedophiles and all the, you know what I mean? They just became so weak. They
Right.
lost it, you know?
Yeah.
When that first minority lost out, everybody lost out. They made the mistake of gambling with other people's freedom. Now let's see how those bets paid off. Carl the farmer was gambling on a better life for himself. What he got was extra hours of back-breaking work, as much as 100 hours a week. He was forced to stay on his land and produce what he was told to produce.
Complete anecdote.
Because now
Just
Hitler
making
was
it up.
preparing
Yeah.
for war. For Heinrich, who owned the hardware store, the bet didn't pay off either. 104,000 small businesses were closed in 2 years.
I'm just going to guess that if that is true, I'm going to guess that they were Jewish businesses.
Okay.
From them closing up and leaving for the transfer agreement going to Palestine at the time. You know what I'm saying?
And for Hans, conditions hadn't improved any. He had a job now. In a
I couldn't
munitions
find this
factory,
statistic.
But he worked long hours for little pay. The working conditions grew increasingly bad. And even though he didn't like the job, he wasn't permitted to leave it. And when Hitler decided...
I would say, though, later on, like when they're at war and you work at a munitions factory, you're not allowed to just come and go.
Right.
We need you to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? My grandma's putting the bomb bay doors on the B-52s. Bet you she couldn't just call in for a whole week. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we kind of need you, Rosie Riveter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
The time was right, Germany went to war. Not by declaring war, but by a carefully prepared sneak attack.
Sneak attack. You hear him?
He even sounds like the bad guy.
He sounds like the bad Jewish guy, we'll say.
Right.
And then, like, you talk about this, like, yeah, there was, at the point they sneak attacked them. There was 80,000 ethnic Germans in refugee camps because they were being mass murdered over there in Poland.
was
And
a
that's why they
rescue
did the
mission.
sneak
Yeah.
attack without declaring war.
Once again, Hitler needed Hans to do his dirty work.
Dirty
Hans
work
was
saving
an
the...
expert at brutality this time. And Hitler had decided to use Hans and his brutality against other peoples. The Czechs, the Poles, the French, the Russians. But in the crucial test of war, Hitler's race theories didn't pay off. His pure-blooded supermen were defeated by the mongrel armies he despised. By the British at El Alamein. By the Russians at Stalingrad. Then on D-Day by American soldiers of every color and religion who smacked...
Okay, what do you think?
It's just amazing. The facts that are left out and just the years of success that were there.
Right.
And we immediately just defeat after defeat. And
Right. And it's like, he made the point, like, these Mongol armies.
right.
Okay, we're talking 1940s. You're going to call England a mongrel army?
Right.
Are you serious? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the mongrality of the USSR was.
Yeah.
But the problem wasn't mongrels. The problem was communism,
Right.
which the United States was fighting to promote, right? That's the problem with the USSR. And then when you talk about this ultra diverse army hitting D-Day, you ready for the numbers?
Okay.
195,000 personnel,
Okay.
2,000 black.
Okay.
So we're talking about over 1%, and I'm not belittling the 1%,
Sure.
because if you contribute, you contribute, even if you're on the wrong team completely. But they're trying to picture it like there was like 40% black people, 40% Hispanics, 40% Asians, maybe 10% white people in there. Do you know what I'm saying?
And they're also implying that because of the mixed type of people, that's why they won.
Right.
Like that was their
that
strength.
gave them their strength.
Right.
Right. Like the incredible diversity of the English, we'll
Right.
say.
Didn't all the black people have their own units?
I'm
Do I have
not
that
sure
wrong?
exactly because I just researched this
Okay.
morning. But like I know with the airmen, they had their own.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Maybe it was just that. Okay.
Across the Normandy beaches and drove on through to the heart of Germany. For the misguided Germans who had swallowed the Nazi bait, the Nazi game did not pay off. The continent of Europe was strewn with millions of German bodies.
It didn't pay off for them because they ended up in Eisenhower's death camp where millions of people were killed.
But that's where the millions come from. It wasn't during battle. They didn't lose that many people, right? Or did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Over the course of a long war, you know? And then you got to think like the prisoners, like I think 600,000 or 400,000 surrendered after they were defeated at Stalingrad, and they were taken out to the gulags. So then the high percentage of those are going to be lost,
true.
even if you don't count it during battle, you know?
Yeah.
Pure Aryan bodies. And Hans, who was going to rule the world, got only a little patch of Normandy that he could call his own. We must never let that happen to us or to our country. We must never let ourselves be divided by race or color or religion, because in this country we all belong to minority groups. I was born in Hungary. You are a Mason. These are minorities. And then you belong to other minority groups too. You are a farmer. You have blue eyes. You go to the Methodist church.
Like your occupation makes you a minority group?
Yeah, because if you expand the definition of minority, everybody's a minority.
Right.
Farmers, minorities. Mine workers,
Right.
minorities. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
Police officers, minorities.
But it's just random like attributes. Blue eyes, minority. You know what I mean? Like it's
Nobody cares.
yeah.
That's not a minority. And a Methodist, nobody cares if you're a Methodist.
Right.
Nobody on this planet cares. Go do your thing. You're hurting the kids? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That this dude's a Hungarian is not the reason why he's a minority.
Right.
He's a minority because I'm just going to guess his religious heritage teaches him to do terrible things.
Right.
Your right to belong to these minorities is a precious thing. You have a right to be what you are and say what you think, because here we have personal freedom. We have.
What was the percentage of white people in the United States in 1943 when this first aired?
Well, this was before the immigration got screwed up.
Yeah, before the Hart-Celler Act. So we're over
That'd be-
90.
yeah, it'd be
I'm just going to guess
incredibly high.
over 90.
Yeah.
And he's telling the white guy, like, but you're a minority.
No.
They would come for you, right? The person who's in the vast majority.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
The guy in the 10% is telling you in the 90%.
Right. In order to protect the guy in the 10% so he can go work at the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Liberty. And these are not just fancy words. This is a practical and priceless way of living. But we must work at it. We must guard everyone's liberty, or we can lose our own. If we allow any minority to lose its freedom by persecution or by prejudice, we are threatening our own freedom. And this is not simply an idea. This is good, hard common sense. You see, here in America is not a question whether we tolerate minorities. America is minorities. And that means you and me.
It is what?
Is minorities.
Oh,
America is minorities.
So let's not be suckers. We must not allow the freedom or dignity of any men to be threatened by any act or word. Let's be selfish about it. Let's forget about we and they. Let's think about us.
Okay, so at the end he says, forget about we and they. Let's talk about us.
Okay.
What's the difference between we and us?
That's all the same difference.
It's the same thing. They is different.
Right.
But even the ending just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know? So what do you think?
Because I'm still somewhat new to this whole, thinking the stuff that we talk about and all that, through that entire video, there's a part of my brain that's going, this is the right stuff. You should be listening to this and not what you've been learning. Like it's, and almost like, wait, am I wrong? Like doubt and all that. It's still like over a year now, I've been trying to get rid of this.
That's amazing.
Because factually, I can dispute, like we've been talking about all this stuff, but there's that part of my brain that is still hardwired to, I remember a time when that video would have been great. Why don't you believe that now? It's amazing.
Wow. Okay. That's an amazing perspective. I wonder if you feel like that. If you do, I'd be interested in knowing in the comments. Do you just see through this nonsense, or are you like, I'm an American, you know what I mean?
But you can see through it and still have that, the little Jew on your shoulder that's whispering to you or whatever.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. Okay. So what do you think?
I mean, it's so ridiculous looking at it now, but back then, I mean, that was what you would see that and that would just be, oh man, thank God we're the good guys. And, it's amazing also how little the lie has changed over the years and how it's literally just the same message. And now we're 80 years from that. And just look what has happened.
Right. I feel like at the end when he said America is minorities, he was talking like future tense, like this is what we're going to do to you.
Right.
We want to break you into all minorities so that there's no majority to say no to the pedophiles, no to the LGBTQ, no to trans kids, no to non-binary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So anyways, I thought it was fun to watch, right?
Yeah, very interesting.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
So you have any thoughts on this? We'd love to hear your perspective. I'm not sure what else to say. Just, let us know. And we release new content Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Thursday. I'm sorry, not Friday, at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And hopefully we'll see you there.